Is this the part of the show where I say engage because it's our starship?
What's up, my miners of intelligence and consciousness? I'm Rick Brooks, and this is Rick's Mind. We got a fireside chat today, and we're going to do our best. I'm always going to be good at keeping it positive, but DeMarco is going to do his best at not bringing this to a bummercast. There will be times where we go there.
I'm always tempted.
No, it'll probably get depressing.
It'll probably get depressing.
Well, dude, we were talking a little bit off air, and you went on a trip.
I
did. I would love to hear about this trip that you went on.
I went on a really beautiful trip to Mushroom Town, psilocybin Mushroom Town, that is. So this past week was my birthday and my wife's birthday. Her birthday is on the 18th, and mine is on the 23rd of September. And so we kind of just, because they're so close, we just do birthday week, which is always a blast. So Becca was really big on wanting to try to do, that was what she wanted to do for her birthday. She wanted to try psilocybin mushrooms again, because she had them once, but it was, kind of lackluster. And I think it was like on a whim with a group of friends when they'd been drinking. So it probably really didn't work very well. But my partner from my band Glitter Wolf, Mike, he had done them a few months ago and had sent us a bunch of ideas about how to go about it, what to do. So we kind of followed his to a T, didn't eat or drink eat anything for 6 hours or drink anything for a good couple hours. So our stomachs were truly empty. We spent the whole day before just getting our life in order so that we didn't have to worry about any kind of logistical stuff like, oh no, it's 9 o'clock and we're too stoned to, I don't know, do the dishes or something. So we, went through the house, covered the mirrors, we got sushi for dinner, but put it in the fridge to have after, and just, made tea and started vibing out watching, her name is Nora Impure. She's a kind of like a chill, kind of deep house musician. She has a series of performance videos that are on YouTube that highly recommended to check out. They're a combination of her on DJ decks out in the middle of nature, and then it's cut back and forth between her and then a drone flying around wherever they were. And this particular one was, I believe, in the Dolomites in Italy. So it's gorgeous, background. So we're just hanging, watching this, and, it starts to kick in. Everything starts to get kind of, feel kind of wavy. And, it was different than what I expected, because I had never done any kind of hallucinogen at all. And so I was kind of basing my experience or my potential experience on just what other people have told me or what I've seen in media or whatever. But it was so much different than I expected and so incredible, genuinely transformational. And when we started, Mike had given us a laundry list of suggestions, don't eat before, cover the mirrors, that kind of stuff. And one of the things he told me was, what is wrong with me? One of the things he told me was, the one thing that stuck with me is, whatever you do, don't fight it. Just let it happen. Let it take you where it wants to take you. And that's where you're going to need to go. It's where your brain wants to go. So the whole night kind of just became that theme of, let it happen. We had planned to just be the two of us at home with our dogs, just hanging out. And right as we start peaking, our old neighbor, Calvin, who, wonderful, wonderful dude. I love him. Just showed up because we hadn't seen him in a bit. So he came to see how we were. He had just come back from this huge adventure where in the span of 24 hours, he found a car on a police or insurance auction website in California, bought a plane ticket, flew to California, bought the car for pennies on the dollar, and then spent it was something out of Hot Rod magazine. He spent 6 hours there fixing the car to get it running, and then he drove it home from Southern California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so we were one of the first people in town that he wanted to show. So he came by, and it was funny because he knocks on the door and both of us are peeking, and I'm like, there's someone at the door. And Becca's just like, well, I'm not going to answer it. And I'm like, babe, there's someone at the door. We kind of have to. It's not like we're upstairs. You can hear music and stuff. They know we're here. So she answers the door, and it's so funny. She pulls the door open and sticks her head around. She's like, hey, Calvin, just so you know, we just had some stuff, so we're a little loopy right now. And he was like, that's cool, whatever. So it hadn't totally started kicking in yet for me. I was just kind of like, if it was different than anything I've had, because it was like you can pull yourself in and out of it. You know, if you want to go somewhere else, you're totally able to. But like with like the snap of a finger, you can just come right back to where you need to be. And I'm used to mostly like weed is the only thing that I really use besides that. And that's more of like you kind of put like blinders on, you know, and it helps you focus or calm down. So we go out in the front yard and we're underneath, you know, by a fence underneath this huge, like, it's probably like 150-foot Doug fir. And it's like just at sunset. So it's really pretty. We're standing out looking at his car and he pops the hood. So we're looking at it and I'm like starting to feel it. Becca's like way in it, but she's small. Like she's only like 5'4". So like she gets like shit faced off one beer. So she's already like literally over in the corner, just staring off at the clouds. And I was like, oh, I don't know if it's working. And then just all of a sudden it was like everything changed, but didn't. The best way I can explain it is it was like the artistic vision that I have in my head, the way that I grade color grade photos, was that became my reality. It was so cool. And I'm sitting here and I'm standing here next to Calvin. I'm looking at this, you know, gorgeous Hemi engine in this ridiculous Dodge Magnum thing. It's like a luxury performance hearse. And I look over at him and he's like kind of glowing pink. And it's like, it looks like he has like when you develop a photo and you just crank the contrast to make it looks just like super intense. Looked at him. I looked at the engine again. Engine looks fine. Looked over at the tree next to me and there's all these like patterns and stuff, and they look like faces because humans anthropomorphizing whatever, but all these faces in the trees, and it's like the trees looking at me, and it's like I see all these faces, and each face has a background and a story and a history and feelings and emotions, and I feel so connected to nature. And then I looked back at the engine, normal engine. I looked at the fence, and the fence looked back at me and was just like, this is pretty dope, right? And I was honestly just in my head like, yeah, fence, this is dope. I'm so into this. And it just everything was just like, and I, you know, looking around the sky. So it's like right at sunset and it had rained earlier. So it was just this gorgeous, like soft blue light, but everything kind of had this like pinkish hue to it. And I realized that I was trying to think like, what is this doing to my brain? And so I'm thinking like photographer, your pupils dilate, right? They become like dinner plates. It's like when you open the aperture of a camera that you get all the extra light in, and then also you have a much like smaller depth of field. So what's in focus, right? That's what it felt like. And so then I realized after that, my eyes are literally more open. I'm seeing more light. So I was like, oh my God, I'm seeing UV light, you know? So like looking at any plant, anything that had chlorophyll in it, it all had this kind of like really purplish pinkish hue to it, like almost like an aura, but it was just kind of like diffused, like when you look through like the just little film red and blue 3D glasses kind of thing, like the color layers are shifted, was incredible. And so, you know, we just kind of go with it. And then Calvin ended up hanging out the whole evening and kind of just like keeping an eye on us, sort of, because he was just stone cold sober the whole time. And we were talking, sitting on the couch. And at one point, I kind of just drifted off in my head. And I'm just thinking, like, the one thing, like I said, the one thing that just kept coming to me is Mike saying, don't fight it, let it happen. And I realized that I've been having this summer has been a really tough summer for me in terms of like mental health. I've been up and down, anxious and depressed, and had a lot of issues with things that stem from PTSD. in it, like to the point where my anxiety was so bad that the Adderall that I take for my ADHD I might as well not have taken it. It was so ineffective just because I was so anxious that in that moment, everything just melted away and I felt calm. And like, I genuinely prior to that, genuinely do not remember the last time that I felt like that, like calm, like truly present, centered, like in the moment. 'Cause it's, for a long time, it's felt like I'm there, I'm doing stuff, but I've had this like kind of weird disconnect between like me and my head and like what my body is doing. It's like it's dissociation, but it's not like where I'm like losing hours, blocks of time. It's like my brain was microdosing dissociation, where I'd just be like walking out of the kitchen and then I get this like really weird feeling like of just like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm just walking through the living room, but I'm really not. It doesn't feel like I'm here. And I just zapped there. And I realized that all of these anxieties that I've been having about the pandemic kind of like not really ending, but like changing to where everything's kind of going back to normal, even though it's not, of being the two of us being independent again, because my parents finally bought a house and they'll be moving out soon. Me kind of just like trying to be freelance and actually like, you know, like panicking, like, how am I going to find gigs? How am I going to make money to support us and help us? And then I just realized, well, dummy, you're doing it. Like, you know, and I know like in conversations we've had, like I remember 6 months ago, you know, you were right. You're like, look at you, you're doing it. You are freelance. You're financially independent on your own and only by your own work. And I really had to think about it. And it's like last year when I like technically started pushing for my own business, I only got like a couple photo gigs and then some other audio stuff that I did. But this year I've had one big gig every single month since February. And I'm still going to. I have stuff booked now all the way until March and April, I think, next year.
And that's it's part of that creating your own reality, man.
Yeah.
And what you're dealing with is fear. You're letting fear, letting fear, you were letting it dictate, like you were letting it immobilize you, and it was just wreaking havoc and
Very
panic
much so.
in your brain.
Yeah.
And then the mushrooms, hopefully, and I do believe that, allowed you to see that I'm being ridiculous and you're wasting energy on worrying about stuff that's taken care of.
Yeah, because I just kept thinking like, you're doing it. You're making money. It's like, don't worry because it will happen. It always, and I like consciously before this is, I have this like, when I had this weird dichotomy in my head where I'm like, oh, well, I'm personally going to be fine. It will work out for me. I know it. But at the same time, I'm just like, fuck, what am I going to do? You know? And it was just like, it was gone. And then so the rest of the night was just, you know, hanging out, enjoying the colors, chatting, goofing, whatever. You know, I slept the best I had slept in, I honestly don't even know how long. I have insomnia and I go through bouts of insomnia for like a couple weeks at a time every few months. But I slept like I felt rested. I felt refreshed, and I hadn't felt like that in I don't know how long, honestly. And like I got up, it was a Sunday morning when I woke up. I woke up early. I stayed up till 3 a.m. I woke up at like I stayed up till like 3 a.m. watching TV, watching YouTube in bed, slept, woke up around 9, got up and like, you know, took the dog outside, fed her, made some coffee, and then sat for about 20 minutes drinking coffee. And then I had this motivation. I was just like, I'm going to go clean the kitchen. And I haven't felt that motivated to do that in 6+ months. And like, I'm putting dishes away. I open the drawer and I'm just like, man, this thing is a fucking disaster. It's totally unorganized. So then I organized it. And it's like the thing, so coincidentally, before we did the shrooms, we were watching the documentary Fantastic Fungi. Mm-hmm. And at one point when they're talking about psilocybin mushrooms, they mention that the way that they work is that they don't work like marijuana or heroin or opiates, that there's an already built-in path in the brain for those chemicals. The mushrooms, what they do is they make you create. They use your neural paths that are already there, but they actually encourage your brain to create new neural paths, which makes sense why it would be so effective for PTSD and depression, because that's what PTSD and depression do, is they make you create disordered neural paths. And like, I just had this epiphany that it's like, it helped me realize like my pattern recognition in terms of like problem solving, creativity, everything has like not hyperbolically has like come back to me, because before was still very creative, but I was just kind of at the mercy of my creativity. When it flowed, I was in, and when it didn't, I was just kind of like, fuck, I guess I could try to get it going. But since this was now a week or so ago, I've done it once more since then, and I've been more creative and felt more creative and in control of my brain than I have in probably 5 years. It's incredible. And like, I knew after that first trip, it was just like, and I didn't even have that. I had a gram, which I think I looked at a calculator for somebody. I'm about 240, about 5'10", said that I think for that, they said a proper dose would be like 2 grams or 1.5 grams maybe. So it was like a half to 2/3 of a full dose, and I got the colors and stuff. But damn, man, it's so effective and so.
Well, I've also noticed you've been more willing to take risks.
Yeah.
In terms of like our working relationship, right? You're actually like more aggressive and more willing to take risks. So that's been very, I mean, it's good for the podcast as well.
And it's been like, this has kind of become my motto, like twofold, the like, don't fight it, let it happen. But then also, send it and find out. And I got that from, when my friend Corey came for our wedding. He and I have been friends since we were like 10 years old, and he's a mechanic. He used to work for a race team. So he was showing me this TV show, or his YouTube show, that it's on the Subaru factory account. And they have this series, it's called Launch Control. And it's like a kind of like a Hard Knocks style episodic documentary series about the Subaru factory rally team in the North American Rally Championship. Mm-hmm. And there's an episode, Travis Pastrana has been driving for Subaru Rally now for probably like 10 years. There was an episode where he was filming one of his Gymkhana stunts where he's supposed to jump across a building, down a ramp, immediately hard 180-degree turn and go down to continue. And one of the scenes, he's done it a couple times and he can't quite get the timing right. And it's him talking to one of the engineers. And he's just like, I don't know what to do. Either I go for it and I'm too slow and my time sucks, or I go for it, I'm too fast and I end up in a brick wall. And the guy's like, fuck, man, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know. I'm going to send it and find out. So like, send it and find out, like that has become my motivation to just, it's fuck it. What's the worst that happens? It doesn't work, or I lose some money. Exactly. Who cares?
Exactly, man. And life's too short to think in any other way. Like, I'm a big proponent. I just finished this book called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Mm-hmm. And he's like, massive fucking action at all time. Mm-hmm. If you start planning, and listen, I'm not going to knock planning or anything. Sure, planning is good. But he's like, if you start to think about a plan and before you actually take action, you've already lost.
Yeah.
And that's why I go head first into everything and say, fuck it, I'll figure the rest out later. I will figure it out later.
That has been my way too,
You have to start working on it now. Mm-hmm. And that's served me very, very well in life. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that the magic mushrooms revealed these truths to you.
It's kind of like all these things, like what you're talking about, going head first into stuff and not being afraid of failure. I've been doing that probably most of my whole life. I've had a whole lot of shit to fight against in my life that's really helped me become very strong. And I've always been like, good with taking risks, never scared me, away from something. But what this did was kind of almost give me the perspective to see myself in a kind of in an external way, the way that like my loved ones do, or like you do, that it's like, shit, I can do this. I am doing this. Just do it, bro. Just don't think about it. Just fucking do it,
Yeah, exactly. And then you're going to have times where, like, I mean, I know I do. When I did a lot of writing, which I'm going to get back into. I'm going to write something.
Good.
I'd freak the fuck out because I would put my innermost thoughts and insecurities and ideas out to the world on the Church of the Chubby. I was writing down everything I was eating. I got to get back in. It's winter. Winter's coming. It's going down.
I'm going to be sad and in a room. I'm going to write.
You're
just going to fucking Justin Vernon yourself to
to
a great book.
But it terrified me, and at times I would just sit back at night thinking, like, what the fuck did I just do? I just let every potentially thousands of strangers into my brain. Like, that's terrifying. People are, what if there's a typo? And then eventually it's like, I don't fucking care.
Right.
It felt good to get it out there and express it.
Good.
What I did was real, and it was my truth. And it was great. It's better than someone that takes a picture and puts it on Instagram. And I'm actually, that's how I justified it to myself. Not a knock on posting shit on Instagram, but just and be prepared for that, man. Be prepared for those demons to come up. But that's the resistance, and that's Stephen Pressfield. He had a book about that. Ooh, what's the name of the book?
Stephen Pressfield, you said?
Stephen Pressfield. I think it's the War on Art, or the Art something like that.
Stephen Pressfield.
The War of Art.
The War of Art.
Yeah, the War. Yeah, I got it. The War of Art. That's a fantastic book. You should read it. 10 out of 10 would recommend it.
Okay. And
it's just about this thing, the resistance with a capital R, and it's that little voice inside of yourself, or inside of us, that tells us that we're not good enough and that we suck. And if you listen to that voice, then you've given into the resistance. So every day he lives his life as if he were at war with that resistance, right? To get better. And I couldn't, I'm so proud of everything that you've been able to accomplish during the vid. And I'm so proud that you now believe in yourself, and that you're not walking in fear, and you're not making excuses. You're taking extreme ownership for your life. Life. You now believe that life is happening for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing, man. That's empowering, and that's the message. That's what this podcast, and that's what my mission is that we're all the captain of our own spaceships.
Yeah.
Right. We all. We all control our own destiny, and we all can tap into tap into our potential, man. And I think that that's the biggest problem that we have in society, is that there's so much fucking potential that is wasted, right? There's so many people that aren't trying, and are just fucking going through life and not giving it their all.
Right. And it's amazing to me because all of these things, it's like I had said, all of these things I know, deep down about myself, and I've been doing them my whole life. I mean, just random shit that I've done. I dropped out of college when I was 19 and a half, 20, because I was just bored and didn't know what I wanted to study. And then I just on a whim started selling clothes on eBay, and it turned into a sustainable business for 3-4 years. Not most people don't do that, and it gave me the confidence, and also a wider perspective of just what to think of and what was happening. That, I've had a few struggles with creative block or creative burnout since I left school. But it's amazing to me, this book, they don't teach, in conservatory, at least the one I went to, they don't teach any kind of psychology. There's probably a back course psych class you could take, but there's no courses about how to deal with this type of stuff, how to deal with creative block, how to try to help yourself to relax or trick your brain to just start working again. And it would be much more useful to people who are professional creatives, or even not professional creatives that just happen to go to art school, and don't go into professional art, it's still useful, you know, that there's not more taught to people about actually knowing how to work with your brain, you know, and make your brain work for you and be in control of it.
I really don't think that if you're, I'll explain this. If you're a curious person, like you'll find resources in which people are telling you, like Andrew Huberman Labs podcast is a great podcast about how your brain works, how science, you can use science to enhance your life and to, you know, to control your brain. And he talks about tons of stuff there. You know, Wim Hof's another one, the power of breathing. Like there are a lot of teachers out there. It's just, you got to fucking turn off the TV, get on the net, stay off Facebook and figure it out.
Honestly though.
Read some goddamn books. Yeah. I mean, the information has never been more available and it's never been cheaper. I mean, you can go to a thrift store and buy a book for $2 or $1. You could fucking get books for free from the library. Like it is so easy now to be great. It's just, are you willing to do? There's a lot more distractions than there's ever been too.
It's like, what is that Bo Burnham song? It's just like, have a little bit of everything all of the time, you know, like that. I mean, that's another thing that happened to me. Like, you know, a month ago or so, I saw that Bo Burnham Inside special for the first time. And that's the first time I've ever seen any piece of media that, like, you know, I'm watching this and like an hour in, I'm floored at how good it is from a creative perspective. Like it's like the songs are great. The photography is great. The shot selection is incredible. The cinematography of it is beautiful. And then it just hit me, like when he's singing one of the songs, I don't remember, where he's talking about Gen Z, and he says something like, "Don't come crawling back to me when you get diagnosed with a personality disorder in your late 20s." And it's just like, oh fuck, this is me, you know? And then it just keeps going, and it's like, at that moment, that was the beginning of when I started to snap out of it, and it was the mushrooms that was just the kick in the pants to really get me out. Because I'm watching this thing, and I'm like, here's a dude, yes, he's got a career already, he has a lot of success, he has access to resources, I don't. But he's sitting in one room, and he's surrounded by a laptop, a MIDI keyboard, a microphone, a couple cameras, and a bunch of lighting equipment. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? You know, all summer I've been struggling to be creative. All year, for a whole year, I've been struggling to be consistently creative. And here's a dude who's doing it in a room, and I have no excuse because I have literally every single analogous piece of equipment he has. And I'm just like, fucking put a camera in the corner of your room and make a movie, dude. Just do it. So like, it's like you said, it's made me more in touch with my confidence that I can get myself to be just like, fuck it, let's do it. So, you know, I kind of started by like, I built a new computer that's like an absolute fucking beast. I'm going to start like, you know, I'm doing a lot of, you know, my own like creative work and stuff, and, you know, all the work that has to be done for our show. But I'm going to try to start doing like, not necessarily video game streaming, but like episodic videos of playing video games. There's my particular favorite video game is called City Skylines, that it's a city building simulator, but it's like a big puzzle game. And there's a bunch of YouTube creators that I love that, you know, build cities and watch. And I'm just like, I could do this. I do this all the time. What's the only difference is plan ahead, record it, turn your microphone on and just goof for an hour, save it, render it, put it on YouTube. Who knows?
Good to go.
You know, maybe people watch, maybe they don't, but at least it's fun, you know?
Exactly. It's what you do. I mean, and is there a game that I could get on, like, to destroy the cities that you've built, though?
I mean, you could get the same game and I could email you my save games. And it's like, did you ever play SimCity?
Oh, dude, I'm not a nerd, bro.
Okay,
no.
All right. Well, you know, you never know. I mean, no, but yeah, it is I gotta say, I did not see coming that in my 30s, I would both be like, again, mentally unstable all the time and develop a really deep fascination with city planning. Who knew? It's really cool. It's really interesting.
Could you? I didn't even know that. I bet there's a bunch of people that are into that.
Oh
Also,
yeah,
dude, before we get off track,
yeah.
we do have to talk about China
Oh,
making.
I'm gonna get a clip. I'm gonna get a clip to put over me when I'm saying this of Donald Trump going China. Just like
so what they made all cryptocurrencies illegal, correct?
Yeah, they had. When was that? A couple months ago, when it was right before they banned video games too. They
banned video games.
Yeah, that was
Nice.
like a month ago. They banned. What did they do? They banned a release. They banned the sale of new video games, or the sale of video games, or release of video games for a certain amount of time. And they also made it that I believe it's anyone under the age of 20 is somehow limited to 1 hour per day of gaming. And I have no clue how the fuck they're gonna do that.
I don't either. But listen, I'm not gonna. I am 100% anti government, but like low key, I'm like, oh, that's not a bad idea. Like, I would never vote for anything like that. I would never. I'm just saying, I'm super anti video game.
Why? See, hold on. No, this is an interesting topic, right? So, I mean, both of us are about the same age. You remember, like, or do you? Well, you're not a nerd. Do you remember, like, back when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, like in 2001?
Are you talking like motherfucking
like
Vice
PlayStation?
City?
Yeah, like Vice City, GTA 3.
I played the shit out of Vice City.
Who didn't?
Okay, I did.
So that time, do you remember somebody named Jack Thompson? He was just a random fucking attorney from Florida who got a bee in his bonnet about how violent video games were ruining the youth of America and tried to do everything to get violent video games banned. And about 2 years after that, when it was still going, there was a massive psychological study that came out. I'll have to find it. I'll put it in the show notes. That it was like the exact opposite of what everybody, the whole like Tipper Gore, satanic panic, cultural bullshit that was going on in the 90s, was that it, at the time, like say back in 1980, video games were technically an antisocial behavior because the majority of people didn't participate in it. It was a very, very small amount of people. It pulled people away from socializing and talking. But now, because video games are probably the most popular hobby, period, among anyone, but at that time among the youth, that kids that didn't play video games were actually participating in antisocial behavior. And I don't know how many different vectors they had. None of them correlated to anything about like resulting in playing, Grand Theft Auto Vice City and just mowing down hookers with a gun to reality of, it was like Dylan Roof and what's his face from Columbine. They tried to blame that whole thing on Marilyn Manson and Ozzy Osbourne as saying that like their music made them evil. Fucking bullshit. Evil made them evil. The FBI was notified about them like how many times?
We're a little bit off the skis.
This is true.
We were talking,
but so it's like, I understand being personally anti-video games. It's like, it's not for me. I don't enjoy it. Don't have the attention span, blah, blah, blah. Just being blanket anti-video games outside of yourself is just close-minded, I guess.
Hold on. That's not, I'm not going to say that's wrong because that definitely, I'm saying policy-wise, I'm all about freedom, dude.
Freedom.
Do whatever the fuck.
But you know what the government should do? Ban video games.
No. I never said that. I said I would never vote for something like that. I think it's stupid. But I said deep down, I'm like, man, it's kind of a good idea. The reason I say that is I look at a lot of the problems we have. But and I could be blaming it on all the wrong. There are probably some guys that are fucking and women, men and women that are shredded, that play video games all the time, still find time to go to the gym, get outside, go on hikes, do all that stuff. Guarantee you don't have. But I'm talking about people that play non-stop. But again,
I mean, that's you're taking the most extreme possible case and applying 100%. It blanket to everyone.
That's what I associate when video games just scare the shit out of me.
You just think of the total antisocial dude living in his basement playing Second Life for 20 hours a day.
I'm saying like I'm all in or all out. That's just how I roll. And I know the reason I'll never play video games, I'm afraid I'd play them and be like, Oh my God. And I'd get all into it. I was lucky enough to when I was a child, and I never beat Grand Theft Auto. My brother did. So I would just like
Hmm.
get all the cheat codes and murder people. Like that's
Sure. I
all
mean,
I
that's
did.
what
And
I
I
did. I
loved it.
beat them, but that's mostly what I did too.
And but then there was this other game that was on PS2.
Hmm.
It was a stupid snowboarder game. And there was one
Oh,
level that I
SSX.
couldn't, I don't know. It could have
I
been that.
guarantee you it's SSX.
But and so there's one level that I just couldn't beat, and I lost my goddamn mind. I
Hmm.
was so angry, and I remember throwing the remote at the TV and looking outside and thinking, "Yeah, fuck this. I'm gonna go fishing." And I never played. I didn't say the F word. I was like, "Man, screw this."
I'm 12. I'm gonna go catch a fish.
Yeah, but that was it, and that was it. I never looked back.
Really?
Never played video games ever again. Just
Damn.
was never.
See,
wasn't about that life.
I video games were always have been huge. Like I've been playing video games since I was a literal infant, like playing DOS games on my mom's computer. I personally like. I mean, I played console games mostly, but now probably post age 16, PC games are really. They always have been, but like I only have a PC now. I actually have a PlayStation 4. It's in a drawer somewhere. I never use it.
Dude, you should sell it.
Honestly, I might because for my birthday I got a 4K Blu-ray player, so now I have absolutely no reason to own a PlayStation anymore.
So wait, are we on like PS5? Is that
Yeah.
the iteration
Yeah,
right now?
PlayStation
Oh,
5
I mean,
and Xbox One, I think is what it's called. Like I'm not sure the Xbox naming thing is, but yeah, PlayStation 5 is where they are. I really genuinely like I've had a PlayStation 4 since they came out. And for a long time, my computer was not good enough to game, and then once I upgraded it, then that was probably half of my gaming, and then mostly console. And probably for the past 4 years, I'm exclusively PC. I literally only ever use my PlayStation as a Blu-ray player. It is like the PS4 was the best Blu-ray player on the market at the time. Now it's just a pain in the ass because you don't have it. There's no remote control. It's only you have to use the controller on it, and it's just awkward.
talk about a failed technology. Blu-ray failed.
It did it though.
I mean, I'm gonna say yes, it did because I think that I don't think that. How do I phrase this? I think that we are past discs. I think that there's a small minority of people, and if you're of this minority, I actually think you're smart and you're correct.
I'm in the minority that I love physical media.
You like to have that. You like to. I think you're smart. Just in case
I've always
shit
when music streaming started, before internet music streaming started, when iPods first came out, and it was about like either buying digital music or ripping CDs. I never, ever, ever bought digital. I think I maybe bought like 3 albums in my entire lifetime digitally. Everything else, unless it's like indie music through Bandcamp, I bought CDs. Like I have probably 10 boxes full of CDs because at the time I was just like, I'm going to buy every one of those. I'm going to stick it in my computer. I'm going to rip them to like uncompressed audio. And then I'm going to put the CD in a closet. And it's just like a backup, instead of having files on a computer, I've got a CD in the closet.
And I think that's the smartest thing. But I'm saying like most people consume their media or any entertainment through streaming services. And if you think about it, now that I'm thinking about it, I might switch. It kind of fucking sucks because you really don't ever own anything. Like if I stop using,
technically you're buying a perpetual license.
Exactly.
For a film, and if the whatever store you choose to buy from, like let's say Prime, if Prime removes the video from distribution because like there's some sort of like a licensing agreement with the film distributor, it's bye. You don't have it.
I mean, DVDs are super cheap now too. Like
Blu-rays too.
Like, I bet it's cheaper, but I never got into the Blu-ray rage. Like I used to own a shit ton of movies.
Right.
And now I don't even know.
I mean, I literally when I was 17, I got it. I mean, I've always liked watching movies. Like I love films, and my family's always bought VHSs and stuff to watch because we always watch a lot of movies. But when I was 17, I got into like really seriously like collecting media and wanting to have DVDs, Blu-rays, CDs. I I built a custom shelf I had a walk-in closet that I could just stick on one wall, and I made it to fit the absolute maximum amount of Blu-rays that I actually like. I'm based on the size of Blu-ray cases that it could hold like hundreds. I've looked at it always before the internet, or not before the internet, but before media streaming. Really, I looked at it as it's a physical backup to a digital thing. Which, if you've ever owned a computer for more than if you've ever owned a computer, once you've lost an important file or something once, you're obsessive about backing everything up. So I would buy movies. I used to buy a ton of DVDs, and then I went through, and when the leap from DVD to Blu-ray was massive in terms of quality and content. So I went and replaced all of my favorite films on Blu-ray, and now the jump from 1080p HD Blu-ray to 4K Blu-ray in video-wise it's easier to do for the players. So like I got a budget 4K Blu-ray player for my birthday and the director's cut of Midsommar in 4K. I've watched like 3 films on it from just a regular 1080p Blu-ray. The upconversion algorithm on it is so good. Like, there is definite detail that you can pull out of a 4K movie that you can't from an upconverted 1080p, but it's so goddamn close. It looks as good as streaming 4K. So it's totally acceptable. And like I have a pretty big digital media library as well, just like, because you can buy digital films for like $5, they go on sale all the time. Pick them up for nothing and build a little collection. You can really do the same with Blu-rays. That's what I used to do. Is I used to hunt the like Best Buy ads and the Amazon listings for like whatever's on sale or cheap, and you can pick up hella Blu-rays even in 4K for less than $10. And half the time they come with a digital code, so you can have a 4K streaming copy that you can watch in your bedroom and the disc that you could watch in your living room with your Blu-ray player. It's once you've had, like I said, you've lost enough media or you've lost enough important files, or your power's gone out, the internet's down. Fuck, what do I do? You're not watching anything on Netflix, that's for sure. So, I walk over to my bookshelf and I'm be like, should I watch Battlestar Galactica for like the 100th time? Sure, let's do it.
But pop that in as long as your laptops are, well, you don't, oh, I guess, no, you're good. You don't need internet to watch a DVD.
No.
That's dialed in.
That's the point. It's like, it's funny to me. This is a topic that has come up frequently with my wife when we're just chatting. She is 8 years younger than me, so she's technically Gen Z, I think, or she's like right on the line between like the youngest millennial and the oldest Gen Z or something. And it's very common. Kids from Gen Z are like arguably as technologically illiterate as the boomers. And it blows my mind. But when you think about it, it's because so let's say people age 30 to 40, 45 maybe, right? What did we grow up with? We grew up with no internet and then just home computers for computer's sake. And then they got the internet, and we've gone through this whole evolution of internet and connectivity and everything. And we had to learn how to do, back in my day, I had to code in DOS, If I wanted to play a video game, I had to learn how to type out the file path. So C:// blah, 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 blah. What are kids that have grown up now since 2002? Somebody just hands them an iPad. It's UI that's made for the easiest, most efficient touch use. So it's simple. It's just boop, touch it. There was no touching anything, so it's like you had to develop this huge problem-solving kind of mindset to even just use a computer on a basic level, and people don't have to do that now. That I wonder if it is going to come back to bite us as a society in the ass, because technology is so built. It's like everything about the modern world is some sort of juiced-up computer.
Oh, dude, there's 100%. Dude, if we have a giant cataclysmic event, right? we're fucked.
Dude, if the sun decides to shoot off a coronal mass ejection, good night. It's the dark ages.
It's the dark ages, like, because I don't know how to code. I can't make the internet. Like 90.
I can't make the internet.
I'm gonna 99.9%.
How do you make the internet do the thing? Help me.
And that would wipe out all. You fucking did it. We just went bummer. We couldn't make. All of the refrigeration would be screwed. Like, how many people know how to go out? How many people know how to salt food or preserve food? Canned food, even. Like, none of that shit. We've lost all of these. I mean, I do.
Who knows how to corn a moose in a barrel? I'm pretty sure it's only the person that wrote the book that my mother read in, like, the 5th grade, and my mother.
I'll be just fine. But
yeah. I mean, I'll figure that shit out. I'm good in the woods. Give me a weekend and a hatchet. I'll be fine.
But it is interesting, man. I mean, that was one thing that Corona, I thought more people would change, right? Like, that really, for a second, it kind of showed how thinly held together our society is. People lost their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Right? And it's amazing that the logistical infrastructure of the transportation infrastructure held up. Everyone. I mean,
how look at the transportation infrastructure held up. Look at L.A. They locked down, and within how long? 10 days, there was no smog at all.
Yeah,
it blows my mind. More people weren't just like, man, 10 days is all it took?
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. I gotta also throw something else out there. What I'm talking about when I say the transportation network, because there's probably someone in transport.
Are you thinking more like logistics?
I'm not talking about shipping containers coming via boat. I'm talking about trucks rolling domestically, bringing food to stores. That was okay. That was intact. If that ever shut down, we
have nothing.
No, we cease being nice to each other and people start dying.
Oh yeah,
because if you can't buy food, like we're kind of fucked. Like there are people that are preppers that will grow things and they'll be all right. But the vast majority of Americans, like,
shit, if you live in a city, it's gonna be chaos. It'll be like the fucking toilet paper panic of 2020.
It'd be far worse,
but 10 times worse. Yeah.
I mean, I just had a really dear friend of mine's mom just moved to Turkey.
Oh, cool.
And she's like, I had no idea how great we had it in America. They have to grow food.
Sure.
He's like, we have to grow our own food, and not because, like, I mean, we've always gardened, but we used to give all of our excess food away from to our friends and stuff. That she's like, not now. We can that shit. We save it because their infrastructure is not as developed as ours, right? And so they're not able to get basic necessities at the store, food, vegetables, all that just doesn't show up there all the time.
I swear to God, I'm not going bummer, right? I'm being analytically straight. Go back to what when we had Ben Carollo on the show, when he was talking about the Chinese model. If they've already beaten us because they got us addicted to $5 t-shirts. We have this. I was talking about this with my friend Calvin last night, actually, that it's no one has this mindset anymore that, call them normies or whatever you want to, but everybody has this just consume mindset, and not in a like, I'm going to go buy this thing once. I'm going to buy a good thing. It's going to be well made and put together, and it's going to last me a long time. And I personally can repair it, or somebody I know could, or I could take it to a shop. That's not how things are done. Look at the iPhone. It is genuinely, if you have ever built a computer, you have the technical ability to be able to follow like an iFixit tutorial to replace just about any part in an iPhone. You just need the tools. It's really easy. But no one's going to do that. You're going to smash your iPhone screen and be like, "Fuck, Steve, can I get a new one?"
Yeah.
People don't repair anything, and it's because of the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act in 2000, that removed the right. You see anytime you buy an electronic, like not a phone, but anything that's like stationary, like a TV or something like that, and they have those like little like stickers that have the like holographic stuff. If you tear it off, that's like void if warranty void if broken. That's illegal. It's unethical. I owned this. So what the DMCA did is just like digital films. You're not buying a television from Samsung. You're buying a license to use that, where if it gets down to brass tacks in contract law, it ain't yours. It's Samsung's. They've licensed you the right to use that TV, and if it breaks, it's their prerogative if they want to fix it. If you open it, technically under the law, you're committing a crime. You're fucking with, or you're not fucking with you are fucking with somebody else's property. That's been a huge thing in Europe, trying to pass, and it's actually close to being done, the right to repair.
Isn't that going on in the United States as well, though?
It was at one point, but in classic American fashion, some giant corporation lobbied some chode in Congress to take it out of a bill.
Yeah, that's generally
Let's
how
see.
that
So
happens.
the electronic rights to repair first preferred. So it's United States. Let's see, legislative focus. That's it. There have been people fighting it and trying to get it passed, but I don't think they're like, the FTC is sort of trying to start, like pushing companies to let people repair their own things, but the FTC is, it's any federal regulatory agency. It's controlled by the top companies in every sector. So I don't think it's going to happen here. I think it's going to end up being like in Europe, where any kind of innovation when it comes to digital rights is going to come from the EU, and everyone's going to have to adapt if they want to be in that market. Like right to repair. God, like another issue. I've come full circle. What do they call it? Oh, damn it. The internet thing that they tried to. Oh God, open internet.
When they were trying to.
There's the term. What's it called?
I don't know. You have
open
to
internet. Broadband commitment. Open the internet. Net neutrality. Thank you. Net neutrality. The most misunderstood thing I have ever learned about. Right? When they package it, like when like libertarian types and everything talk about it, they're just like, no, the government can't have control of the internet. It's not about the government having control of the internet. It's about having regulation. They're literally trying to classify broadband internet as a utility, like they did with phones, in the 30s and 40s when phones came out. They're trying to make it so that it's utility. Everybody has to have access to it. You just pay for service, right? Mm-hmm. So like technically in your home, if you own your home, that was one thing that passed with phone lines when it became utility, is that all of the phone lines in your house and on your property legally are yours, and you pay the phone company to come and operate them. Mm-hmm. Legally, if you own your home and there's coaxial wire in your walls that you use with Comcast, probably because they're a monopoly, they own those wires. You do not. No one is ever it's kind of like the Queen of England's powers. She still has all the powers that they did before the Magna Carta. They just choose not to use them. So Comcast is not going to come after you if you renovate your house and pull out, replace the lines or whatever. But legally they could.
That's right. And for those that don't know, the Queen is the head of state in Canada.
The whole Commonwealth, not just Canada. Yeah, it's crazy? Insane. I didn't know that until probably like when I was a teenager. I went on a Wikipedia hole reading about it. That everywhere, like I said, she chooses not to exercise her power. But every single country in the Commonwealth, the second in command,
the prime minister,
exactly. And then there's in every single decision, there is an advisor that is handpicked by the Queen that is there helping make those decisions, like say like a Secretary of State would in foreign policy in the United States.
So I believe in Canada that the person is that liaison between the Queen and the Prime Minister is handpicked by
the Queen.
No, the Prime Minister, I believe. Okay. But let's not. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure either. But
hey,
net neutrality. It's great. We should do it. Learn about it.
I like that. That's a good place to end.
I think so.
You know what? I'm not going to classify that as a bum. I'm going to classify that as an empowering, delightfully delicious podcast, sir.
Knowledge is power.
So, folks, you are the captain of your spaceship, and you can do anything. So, get out there, get after it, fucking be the best you can be. Thanks for listening, folks.